Okay, for the next project, we are going to make a textured, hand-built slab mug. The mug is going to be built by using just a slab of clay. It's going to have a modified pulled handle and a foot here, and then you're going to have textures in it. So here's the example, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So you're going to start by, we're going to use just a fast food cup, because then we can know exactly what size. So we're going to have like a standard size, so you can kind of have an idea of how much it's going to hold. But when you first have this, you need to make a template in clay so that you can make yourself a pattern. Now, this is round, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to round the edge a little bit. It's only slight because this is not a very big cup. So you're just going to slightly round the edge like so. And this is the top. See how that fits? This is the top, this is the bottom for your template. So this, because we rounded it, now fits the bottom of our cup. So we're going to wrap it around. Then we're going to mark some edges. We're going to mark the top roughly where we can see it. Once we have that line, we're going to cut it across at that line. Then we're going to mark up and down where they meet. Actually, draw a line right here that goes down on the edge. So you need to know you need to go down here, and it'll be at an angle. And this one here, you meet up at the bottom edge. It should kind of look like a skirt. What that does is that wraps around, should meet up here. When you roll it out, you'll roll a little bit more of an edge to overlap, and then that will make up your cup. So there is your pattern template. So you'll need that first. Then once you have your pattern, you're going to take 2 of the wood pieces, so you have your thickness, because you don't want to be thicker than this. You're going to put them on the sides of your cloth, and you're going to take some clay, and I'll have the slicer tool cut or size so that you'll have the right amount to roll out. And you're going to roll out your clay to where it's the thickness of your slats. And I've done this already, so that's the right thickness. You don't want it too thin or too thick, so you always want to stay on these and roll it out. Once you have that rolled, then you're gonna line this up in here, and you will have extra because you'll need that for the bottom circle. So just line it up so everything fits. And then you're gonna cut that out. Save your extra scraps. And if you have a little on the edge over here, that's fine. You could leave that on there because you'll need a little overlap. So it will be okay if you want to leave that, because you'll recut this pattern again once you put the texture on. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to leave a little bit because mine was a little off on that edge. But you don't have to. It'll stretch it a little bit. Okay, so here is your pattern. This will wrap around here once we're done, and it will make your template. So we're going to start by deciding on a pattern. I have all sorts of different pattern pieces that you can make textures with. I have We have texture plates. Anything that's plastic, you will need to spray with the spray, and you don't spray it on the plastic, you spray it on a piece of cloth away from your clay and stuff, and then you would just spray it, and then you would just wipe it on there. You do not need to spray the wood or any of the ceramics. There's also plaster pieces that you have, like this, and you do not need to spray those either. Nothing, the only thing that needs to be sprayed is like the plastic and the rubber. I also have some big pieces like this, and these would need to be sprayed. I'm going to use this one for this example. So I'm going to put this on, and this is just going to help it so it doesn't stick and it comes off nice. So once you get your area, you're going to set it down. And you're going to have some sandbags that you use for pressing. I'll find mine. So you'd find your area that you want. I just want to do this on like a half section because I want to do like another section. So I'm gonna put it right here. Like I said, I had some sandbags that you would kind of press into, and I can't find them right now, but they're and you're just going to press into it just a little bit because you want to press and not stretch. Once you think you've got a good pattern, you're going to pick it up, and then you have your pattern. So I wanted to do that one. I have these rollers that do different textures, and you can roll them. I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. That. I was thinking about doing this rooster on here, but I'm not sure how it will look. No, he doesn't show up very well. So maybe I'll do this big texture here. When you're doing the rollers, you have to be careful not to roll too much because you don't want to flatten it really thin in certain areas. And I might have flattened it a little bit, but it's okay because it's on the edge. And we'll trim that down again. So once you have your textures on there, then you're going to fit it to size again. And it's okay if it overlaps a little bit on an edge. And I like the look of this edge because that edge is going to be where it overlaps here. So if you have an interesting edge that's thin and you want to keep it, then keep that edge. Let's see, that'll overlap a little bit. And you'll be able to tell because you're going to put it on here. Now, you would need to tape it, and I did not grab any tape, so we're going to see if we can do this without tape, because you're going to want to put your paper down on your. Just like, let me see if I can find some tape. So you're gonna want to tape this down. I should have made a little bit more room there so it overlaps a little bit, but we'll be okay. Okay, then you're actually going to roll it just to make sure it fits, and we don't need to trim anything on here. And actually that fits pretty perfect because we're going to do some edge work to stick it down. Now, this is going to be my top, and it actually is a little thinner, which is good. If it wasn't thin, you would want to, the kind that goes like this, you're just going to smush. I'm just kind of smoothing it. Now, you have to slip and score. Anything that's going to be connected from one piece to another, you have to slip and score. What that means is, with the scoring tools, you're going to rough up the edges, and that's called scoring. And then you're going to slip, and that's basically making some glue. I have some dry clay. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it just so it covers the top. I'm gonna let it set while I finish doing this. Now this other side, this is where it's gonna be on the other side. So again, I'm gonna smooth it down a little bit because I want these edges to be thin. When they meet up, I want them to overlap and make that one thickness the same. Does that make sense? So I'm going to thin this out a little bit. We'll score it. And I'm going to stick them together. With some slip. Now you'll want your cup here because you want to roll it around on it. Get it how you like it. Roll. Oops. And then you're basically going to glue it together. Put your slip. And I think it's okay to put a little extra, because when it comes out the edges, you can just smooth it out into your patterns. And you don't want it to crack, so you want to have a good connection. And then you're going to roll this over and stick it. And you want to make sure while you have this cup in that you do like a nice, good connection in there. See how that slip goes out? That's okay, because you can make sure you got a firm connection while you have the cup on there. And then what I was saying is, with that slip, you can actually go in and kind of smooth that and see how it does a nice look. And then it has like a nice look to it. It's nice and finished. Now, make sure you have that on that nice and good. Leave this here for a second because you're going to have to roll out the base of your cup with your extra clay. If you had enough to where you had the circle that you would need, you could do that. But if not, you're going to have to roll some more clay out. Now I'm not like wadding this all up. I'm kind of putting it flat, so when I roll it out, I'm not going to get any air bubbles. See, it's a nice surface there. There we go. I want to take the cup out. See how that works really nice, because then you can pull this out. If you need to trim this at all, if it's really uneven, mine's pretty good. I got a little bubble there, but that'll be okay. Pull this out, and then you're going to set it in the middle the best you can. Kind of keep your shape. Now, when you do this, it's best to move it to a bat with a banding wheel. Oops. Because then you can do all the rest at one time. Banding wheel, bat, put this in here nice. Get it the circle you want it to be, look at the edges. Then you're gonna, actually usually when you put it down, it kind of marks where it's at, you can kind of see it. Then you're gonna score, see how you can see that little edge where it was at? You're gonna score where that was at, because we're gonna have to connect it again. And then you're gonna add slip there. And again, a little bit more over less, because you don't want to have it cracking on the base of your cup, because then you're going to have a leak. Same thing here. Turn it over. And then stick it on and kind of make sure you kind of get a nice connection. Now, this is where you're going to trim. You're going to trim about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. That off. And now this is very important how we do this next step. You're not going to mush it on, you're going to smooth it over and kind of seal up that seam. And as you do it, you're kind of pushing it onto the bat at the same time. So you're sealing and pushing. And I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to pick it up and show you what I'm doing. And it's important to seal it to the bat for the next step. And that's why we needed that full, like 1/2 inch roughly. Okay, so here's what I did. See how I sealed it to the bat at the same time? It's actually stuck. If I'm not even holding it, it's stuck. But see how you've got a nice seal around the edge? There's no crack. It kind of comes into, like it comes into the pattern there, and it's stuck to the bat. This is where we stop, and we let it dry this afternoon, and then come in before school's out to cover it up, because we want it leather hard before we trim the last part of the foot and before we go in and do the handle. But while it's still wet, clear up, take care of the top, make sure it's a nice circle, go in on the inside with your slip brush, smooth out any of those score marks. Taking this edge here, if there's slip showing where you connected the two, on this edge right here, if there's slip showing, you want to smooth that out. Any craftsmanship stuff you'll have to do now. Bottom, get all that, because any of that slip that's rough, right now that's wet will be rough and sharp when it's dry. So do all your craftsmanship, keep it stuck down, then we wait until tomorrow, but you cover it overnight, just let it be open to the air today during class, and then tomorrow I'll show you how to trim the bottom of it and put the handle on.